Imagine stepping into a jet so quiet you can talk in your normal voice, while it's crossing an ocean at near top speed. Then it drops into a runway most long-range jets would rather avoid. And the wild part? There's one hidden capability that can literally save owners time and money on the same trip. Stay with me, because I'll reveal that trick at the end. And once you hear it, you'll understand why the Dassault Falcon 8X has a reputation for doing the impossible routes without the drama. Or overview. The Dassault Falcon 8X is an ultra-long-range Trijet built for people who don't want their schedule negotiating with geography. It's been in production since 2016, and it sits in that rare tier where the jet is not just transportation. It's a mobile office, a recovery suite, and a privacy bubble that can move you across continents in one go. Think New York to the Middle East, the US to deep Europe, or coast to coast, plus keep-going energy. See, but here's what makes the 8X feel different in real life. It's not just about range, it's about arriving sharper, less fatigue, less noise, less, "I just spent 12 hours in a metal tube" face. And yes, if you've ever tried to do serious work on a plane, you know that's priceless. Key features: what you actually feel on board. Let's start with the cabin vibe, because that's the whole point of this class of jet. And the 8X is famous for a whisper-quiet cabin. Dassault talks about an average around 49 EPNdB in cruise, which is basically you can hear yourself think territory. Translation: you're not competing with a constant roar while you're trying to close a deal, have a private conversation, or just sleep like a normal human. Then there's the light. The Falcon 8X can be configured with up to 30-plus windows, and the cabin feels bright and open, more like a high-end penthouse lounge than a traditional business jet tube. Add high-speed connectivity, including K-band options with Dassault's Falcon Connect services, and you've got a jet that's built for real work, not just Instagram moments, though, let's be honest, it's definitely both. Air quality is another underhyped flex. Dassault emphasizes fast, continuous cabin air refresh and filtration options that can include HEPA/ULPA-style systems. And the point isn't just clean air, it's how you feel after a long flight. Less dry, less wrecked, less jet-lagged. It's like the jet is quietly doing wellness in the background, while you pretend you don't care. And up front, this is where Dassault gets nerdy in the best way. The Falcon 8X uses advanced digital flight control, DFCS, with envelope protections that reduce pilot workload and help deliver that smooth, stable ride passengers notice immediately. And pair that with FalconEye Combined Vision System, an advanced vision setup that helps cruise in low visibility, and you've got a jet that's built for go days, not sorry weather days. Quick vibe switch. Okay, real talk. If you've ever been on a luxury flight that still left you exhausted, you already know the truth. Comfort isn't just leather and champagne. Comfort is noise, pressure, air, and how the jet behaves in the last 10 minutes of the flight. That's where the 8X quietly earns its paycheck. Key specifications: the numbers people actually search. Let's do a clean spec run. No boring spreadsheet energy, I promise. Range: about 6,450 nautical miles. NBA AIFR reserves. Typical mission profile. Max operating speed: Mach 0.90. Ceiling: 51,000 feet, so you can often climb above traffic and some weather. Max takeoff weight: about 73,000 pounds. Aircraft size: roughly 80 feet 3 inches long, with an 86 feet 3 inches wingspan. Sir takeoff distance: typical published numbers at MTOW, sea level, ISA. Roughly 5,880 feet. Landing distance: typical published numbers. roughly 2,220 feet. Approach speed, published example mission, about 107 knots, slow and stable for this class. Now the cabin, because the cabin is the product. Cabin height, about 6 feet 2 inches. Cabin width, about 7 feet 8 inches. Cabin length, excluding cockpit and baggage, about 42 feet 8 inches. Cabin volume, roughly 1,695 cubic feet. Baggage volume, about 140 cubic feet. Passenger count depends on layout, but a typical configuration lands in the 12 to 16 passenger range, often spread across 3 distinct lounge zones. That 3-zone idea matters because it lets you separate work mode, meet mode, and sleep mode without forcing everyone into the same vibe. And yes, the Trijet heart of it. 3 Pratt & Whitney Canada PW307D engines, each rated around 6,722 pounds of thrust. The 3-engine design isn't a gimmick. See, it's a performance strategy. Why the Trijet matters, in plain English. Most people hear 3 engines and immediately assume more fuel, more cost, more maintenance. That's the misunderstood part. On the Falcon 8X, the Trijet advantage is about route flexibility and performance margins, especially over water and into airports with tighter constraints. Dassault also points to efficiency gains from the aerodynamic wing design and those PW307D engines. See, often framed as up to around 15% better fuel efficiency versus some peers in the ultra-long-range segment. And if you're the kind of person who values time more than almost anything, that shorter routing plus more airport options effect can be the real luxury. Because the most expensive thing you own is not the jet. It's your calendar. Surprise detail plus a quick joke. Here's a funny way to put it. The Falcon 8X is the jet equivalent of a person who shows up calm, perfectly dressed, and somehow already knows where you parked. It's not loud about being elite. It just quietly deletes problems. Pricing, the money conversation everyone avoids. Let's talk numbers, because luxury is fun until you see the invoice. A factory-new Falcon 8X is commonly discussed in the low $60 million neighborhood, depending on configuration, interior, and avionics options. On the pre-owned market, you'll often see pricing more in the roughly $40 to $45 million range for certain model years and hours, sometimes higher for newer examples, sometimes lower if the market swings. And ownership costs are where you separate rich from actually runs a flight department. Also, small joke, but true. The 8X is the kind of jet that makes your group chat say, "Yeah, we can totally do that as a day trip." And then, it actually happens. Operating costs can vary wildly by utilization, crew structure, maintenance programs, and where you base the aircraft. But ballpark estimates from industry cost calculators put variable operating costs around the mid-6,000s per flight hour. Annual budgets also depend on hours flown. Some estimates land around approximately $1.5 million for 200 hours a year, and roughly approximately $2.3 million for 400 hours a year. That's before you get into the depends on your lifestyle stuff. Hangar fees, insurance, crew salaries, training, and maintenance reserves. Charter pricing? Yes, when the Falcon 8X is available on the charter market, you'll often see rates that can land in the low to mid 5 figures per hour depending on location, demand, and trip structure. Translation: it's not just renting a jet, it's renting an entire moving ecosystem. How it stacks up, quick comparisons. If you're cross-shopping in this bracket, the obvious comparisons are jets like the Gulfstream G650ER and the Bombardier global family. In that world, but the Falcon 8X's calling card is a mix of three things: Trijet flexibility, short-field confidence, and a cabin environment that's engineered for low stress, quiet, clean air, and real three-zone livability. Gulfstream tends to own the speed plus prestige conversation in a lot of boardrooms. Bombardier often wins on huge cabin vibes depending on the model. But the 8X is the jet for people who want capability that feels understated. Like the person wearing a simple watch that costs more than a car. Mode misunderstood points, what people get wrong. One misconception is that range is the only metric. It's not. The real luxury is the combination of range, airport access, and how you feel after you land. Another misconception: all long-range cabins feel the same. They don't. Noise, air, and pressure management change everything. That's why some people step off one jet, ready to work, and step off another jet, looking like they lost a fight with time zones. And here's the last one. People assume a jet like this is only for billionaires. Yes, a lot of owners are ultra-high net worth. But the Falcon 8X also fits companies and flight departments that value reliability and mission flexibility. It's not always about flexing. Sometimes it's just about removing friction from global business. Quick reset plus audience question. 1 second, picture this. You land, step out, and you're not depleted. You're dangerous. And that's the whole point of ultra-long range done right. Quick question. If you had to choose one thing on your dream jet, would it be a private bedroom, a full shower, or insane Wi-Fi that never drops over the ocean? Drop your pick in the comments, because I want to see what luxury actually means to you. The end reveal. The clue from the beginning. Remember the hidden capability I teased at the start? The one that can literally save time and money on the same trip? It's this. The Falcon 8X is built to land at a very high percentage of its maximum takeoff weight. Dassault highlights that it can land at about 85% of MTOW. In real life, that means you can tank up at your home base, where you control fuel pricing and logistics, make a short hop into a tighter airport, and then still launch a long leg, sometimes 4,600 plus nautical miles, without having to refuel there. That's not just convenience, that's strategy. And it's exactly the kind of low-key advantage that makes the 8X feel like it was designed by people who actually understand how private aviation works day to day. End CTA. Engaging, not annoying. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like. It tells YouTube you want more luxury aviation deep dives. And comment 8X if you'd fly this, or Rival if you'd pick something else in the same class. Tell me what and why. If you're new here, subscribe for weekly luxury tours of private jets, super yachts, and mansions. Want members-only perks and bonus breakdowns? Tap Join and become a channel member. And if you want to support the channel in a huge way, hit Super Thanks. It helps fund more research-heavy episodes like this, and I always look for those highlighted comments first. And one last question before you go. What's your dream non-stop route? New York to Tokyo, LA to Dubai, or something even crazier?